Good day, good day, good day. This is Howard Martell again, and we're going to be talking about the conclusion, parts 2 and 3 of why emotions dictate policy choices and how do new taxes impact daily life. This is for the state of Virginia. This series is provided to you by the Home Profit Coach. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran, uh, honorably served 20 years, 10 days. Was in a cybersecurity career for over 30 plus years. Left that career, not by choice, but by downsizing, as we call it. And I am starting a next phase, my third and final leg, as we call it, in the financial education realm this week. So I'm excited about that. So, taxes, emotions, moderate politics, thinking biblically and critically in 2026. That's what we're going to be talking about, right? So, what we're going to talk about right now is I want to walk you through a recent video that I gone around about the current governor right now. New tax increases and this idea that voters were tricked by the so-called moderate Democrat. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I'm here to break down what the video is claiming and ask how new taxes really impact your daily life and talk about the emotional voting versus informed voting. I'm also going to show you some biblical and financial ways to think about this so you don't just react, you analyze. Then we're going to recap the key claims. There's over 50 plus new taxes proposed after her election. Campaign promises will make life more easily affordable versus reality. Taxes on almost everything. The blue pill analogy, people voting from emotion and fear after Trump, not from policy. Claim there are no moderate Democrats anymore. Communist manifesto. We'll walk through some key questions together, like an inductive study. What's happening? What does it mean? And what does it say? And how we vote. Question one. How do new taxes impact daily life? I'm going to lay out the examples video briefly that was out there. Extra local sales taxes, property taxes, delivery taxes on Amazon, Uber Eats, UPS, FedEx, gun and ammo taxes, gym membership, dog walking, dog grooming, counseling taxes, events, concerts, hotels, storage tax. You get it? Digital property tax. What the heck is that? Higher income taxes, investment tax, energy rate hikes. That's already happening already. Electric bills jumping from 200, 300 to 600. I'm already hearing horror stories about that already. And don't even get into natural gas. Our natural gas bill in our small home that we have, our 1633 square foot, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath, right? Went from $80 to 188 in 1 month. Think about families that can't afford that. So, Spanky, get it right, or we will. I've already put out a petition already out there. Let's see how many people take it up and stuff like that when it comes to understanding that this is not how Virginia will be run. You people elected her. I didn't vote for her. I'll tell you honestly. I'd rather have Winsome Sears, but that's just my opinion. Why? First, she's a veteran. She served her country honorably. She's God fearing, and she has common sense approaches. But we didn't. The Republicans in Virginia and nationally did not support this lady. So shame on you. But guess what, Virginia? You got what you wanted. You got CIA asset, basically. Person that sold out to all the nonsense of California. It's gonna burn now. That's what's gonna happen. So Virginia, buckle up, Buttercup, because for the next 4 years, you're gonna see the consequences of what you did to this state. And as a veteran, I will protect me and my family because I'm not dumb. Trust me. Why do you think I invested in silver 5 years ago to become my own bank? Why? Because it's industrialized, because it is a precious metals, because it has value over the declining dollar. The depreciation of the dollar is happening. So I suggest you reach out to your congressional reps in your district and blow their phones up and say no to these 50 different taxes. If you vote for this, we will vote you out or we will start rescinding. Now, it takes at least 10% to rescind or impeach in a governor. Now, maybe she'll change her act and actually be a moderate Democrat, whatever that means. I don't know what that means. I'm an American, a patriot, red blooded. So if your electric bill tripled and there were new taxes on things you already use, delivery, repairs, counseling, even your dog grooming, how would that change your day-to-day life? Would you have to cut back giving, savings, or basic needs? That's correct. So let's connect it to the financial education. I'm going to explain quickly how a small percentage change stacks up. A 1 to 2% tax here and another 3% tax here, plus high energy rates, all of that compounds like a reverse interest working against you. I'm going to bring in the rule 72 inflation thinking. Just like money can grow, your cost growing also could compound upward if you're not paying attention. Key takeaways. New taxes are not just headlines. They become less margin, less savings, more stress on working families and the small business owner. Why do emotions dictate policy choices? I'm going to bring up the blue pill analogy from the Matrix. I'm going to summarize the blue pill claims. After Trump wins, people feel relief voting blue. They're told to be afraid of Trump and the Republicans. Really? No, you should be afraid of Satan more than these guys. They're just minions. They fall in love with ideas of blue pill and vote Democrat in the midterms more than emotion than in careful policy reading because you've been brainwashed by the plantation media system. Why? Because you sit in front of the TV, uneducated, and you have college degrees, but you're educated, but you're not educated. I have a college degree, but I'm educated through life, through military service, and through spiritual wisdom. And you ask me, what's that? It's called the Bible. It's called the Bible. You break out that dusty book, that living word, and understand what it speaks to you. It's a living person. Jesus is a living person in my life. Why do you think they call us a little crazy? Well, you got to be a little crazy to serve the puppet master for 20 years, 10 days. But guess what? They give me a little shekel every month in my VA disability, and I don't complain. I go and get my services done. I use all my benefits as much as I can because that's benefits earned, benefits served for my body beaten up. But my mind is so refreshed. Why? Because I have a personal relationship with God first and foremost. I have a personal relationship with my family. We're all on the same page. We're all trying to help each other when it comes to being better stewards of His money, His kingdom. And that's why I'm doing this series because I live in the state of Virginia. So it affects me, maybe not as much as the normal citizen who doesn't have those tax benefits and certain things that come to veterans who have served and have proven that they have been medically damaged by the man. So, have you ever voted primarily because you're afraid of a person or a party because you studied their actual record? Did you study their record? And if you didn't, shame on you because you're getting what we call it the unrighteous path. The righteous path is that you should have did a deductive study looking at this candidate has voted this way. This candidate has voted this way. Do a comparison. There's so many tools out there that can help you, including the AI, artificial intelligence can break down things too, and then you can do a deductive reason. Say, okay, this makes sense for me and my family, but this doesn't make sense. Why are you trying to higher taxes when the prior governor was lowering and he was creating jobs and infrastructure and everything else going on? See, the problem is the truth is being exposed at a massive level, and that's God. What's going on in Fulton County is not it's big. Why? Because we know what happened during that time. The videos were there, but nothing happened. Nothing happened. Kabuki theater. It's just you don't see it. There's nothing here. We're putting up papers. But see, the goods are already that they know this. And see, this administration is going after what the American people wanted. They want to root out the evil. They want to root out what is going on in the political realm and the cheating and the lying and the stealing of Americans' taxpayers' money. They work too hard to get taxed 50% just to show up for a job that you might not like. And then you see the exposure going on. You see the exposure going in Minnesota. You see it going on in California. But guess what? That's where Satan rules. Most of the good people of California have left because they went to Texas and other places in the South or Southeast. Why? Better for their families, more affordability, and better choice. So where does fear show up more in political choices in the news you watch? Please, 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 please stop watching Cartoon News Network. They're good at covering hurricanes and wars. That's about the only thing that the rest of that stuff is lies. Please do not watch MS Now. That's MSBS, basically. They are disgusting, pretty much. They lie. Jim Cramer lies about the markets. He's getting paid by Wall Street. Um, you know who I watch? Alex Jones, InfoWars. 31 years. I just get enough of it. And as a supporter, I get the supplements. They're incredible. But you know why? They've been trying to shut him down because he's had incredible people like Colonel Flynn on there, Roger Stone, all these patriots that have known what was going on for decades. It's being exposed, and God's allowing it to be thing. So there were so many red flags with Spanberger, or Spanky as I call her. The video claims warnings were against ex Twitter that was not truly moderate. She wasn't. Look at her voting record. You don't. So I can't, in my conscience, vote for that because that's not good for me and my family, is it? But why did you vote for it? Why didn't you go out and vote and support the lieutenant governor, the prior lieutenant governor? Why? Was it because she was a woman and her pigment was black? Was it that? Really? God created us in his image. If a person has a different skin pigment, that's because they came from a different area. Look it up scripturally. If you go and look at the areas where the Bible was mainly taught, everybody was dark skinned because of the sun, the heat, the desert. They were nomads. Think about it. People ignored those signs and listened to branding instead. You saw the bad messages. Oh, Winsome Sears is about this and this. No, the problem is that the cowardly party, the party in control that won the election, didn't give her support. Plain and simple. And like when we go to our men's breakfast that we have at the Golden Trough once a month, I always see the Republicans having their little debates there. They have a whole entire room that they're talking like, but what are you doing here in Virginia? What are you doing in Hampton Roads? Are you listening to your constituents, or are you just babbling on the microphone saying, "Oh, I am important because you need to vote for me"? Really, dumb butt. What happened then to the lieutenant governor not winning the governorship and keeping control? It's because the people were lulled to sleep by the nonsense. It's called the mainstream media. If you want to know other good media, go to Good Virtuous Entertainment. They've got great media there too. Um, why? Because it's wholesome. It tells the truth, and we don't, and it's filtered, but it's filtered in a good, godly way. Let's just say that. So people ignored the warnings and listened to branding instead. This is why, as a financial education believer, I tell people check the record, not just the rhetoric. Bridge to bridge principle. Brief, but this is not going to be very preachy. Proverb stylized. The prudent man foresees evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. Wise voters look ahead at what candidates has actually supported, not just what they say the week before the election. When will America wake up? They need to understand that you need to look at your candidates. It needs to start locally and your school boards and all this nonsense. This week I just saw there's a scurving videos of these grade school and high school kids protesting ICE. Really? Where did they learn that from? They learned that in the school system. This is even before college. So think about how indoctrinated your kids could be if you're not homeschooling them. So there's plenty of opportunities to homeschool your kids if you have that ability. So you can plant in the right thoughts in their mind, the godly thoughts about family, understanding how money works, and so much more. See, I had to self-teach myself about money. See, I didn't come from money, but I allowed myself to allow the power of compounding, the rule of 72 to work. And I wish at 19 that I knew what I did. I started after 25. And now I've built a nice stewardship resource because of my hard work and dedication, because I decided to take some of my first fruits and put it back into God's kingdom. So Wise voters look ahead at what candidates actually supported, not just what they say the week before. See, that's where the media comes in there, and you got to do your due diligence. You got to understand that you got to look at deductively this resource here, look at this. Now, if you look at the resources that are overseas, for example, if you look over what's going on in different countries, you'll see how they report what is going on in our country, right? But you'll also look at it and say, okay, does this make sense? What's going on here? But why is the media telling me that this is going on? See, that's why I'm an avid supporter of InfoWars. He's been doing it for 31 years and he's been right. Why do you think they tried to shut him down during Sandy Hook? That was such a setup. I'm sorry. That was a staged play. That was a production of HBO. And see, he's still the show still goes on, people. You understand. Him and his family lost everything, but he doesn't care. He said, God wanted me to do this. Well, if God wants you to do it, I guess you're gonna sacrifice, right? Because he paid the ultimate sacrifice. Just saying. What are the long-term voters' implications? Use the no Democrat and Communist Manifesto rhetoric carefully. Focus on patterns, not name calling. There is a thing called the Communist Manifesto. I discovered it one day when I was listening to Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and there's a book about that. I read it. It talks about how communism can come into your country and they don't even have to invade you. What they do is they get into the minds and thoughts of your children and their children's children, and then they allow the empire to crumble. America, that's what's happening. That's what's happening. Your school kids, your young kids' minds are being diluted with nonsense. The teachers out there, there's great teachers, and there's some really ones that shouldn't be teachers because they are demons, plain and simple. They're there just to collect a paycheck, and they don't care about your kids. They want to indoctrinate them with the nonsense. Kids' minds are so fragile. They're already at a record amount obese. Just just want to sit on their butt and do nothing, and then they wonder why we have a health crisis in America. Why? Gluttony, sin, 24-hour food, and no discipline. No discipline. See, that's why the military mindset comes in. If each kid, just like they do in Israel, can serve 2 to 3 years, will pay for their college if they want to go college or technical or whatever they want to do, and they can go in the Peace Corps, whatever they qualify for. Service to country would make this country much better, just like Israel has. It's mandatory for them to do 2 or 3 years. And I seen it when I was in the Holy Land. So I'm going to summarize my claim. This current governor, Spanky, ran as a moderate, promised affordability and moderation. I call her Spanky because she's spanking the heck out of us right now. Now, these 50 bills haven't been passed, but they are going up. And most likely, with the Democrat control, will be passed. And each one of us will have to have the effects of it because that affects at least 85 to 90% of us who have a budget, who are in the middle class or lower middle class, or even the poor among us. See, when you vote with you don't vote with your wallet, but you vote with your emotions because you don't like a certain individual. Guess what? Suck it up, Buttercup. There's always been change in the political realm. There's always been chaos in the political realm. I'm sorry, but when you have a president that is doing most of what the American people wanted, he's lowering crime, securing the border, and taking care of the mess that was created by the other side. And also the Unicrats. I call it the rhinocrats, the true rhinos that just sell out this country. See, that's not what I raised I raised my hand, said I will support and defend the Constitution against foreign and domestic. See, that's what's happening. We have our own domestic. I call them domesticated demons because they're just little minions that are being paid to agitate. But then you have some sick people that truly need the mental institutions, that have lost their flipping minds. Why? Because of the fact that they think that it's right to be a socialist. Marxist. Have you lived in a socialist country? Have you lived in, let's say, Venezuela at one time, or what was one of the third richest countries in the world until it got corrupted? Right now, we took down their president because we had a lawful order. by the Department of Justice through the Southern District of New York. So you got to do your due diligence and understand what's going on. We're not taking over Venezuela. We don't care about Venezuela. We actually care about their minerals. This is a mineral war, people. This is not about oil. Their oil's dirty, but it also is about power because we're trying to keep other powers like China and supposedly Russia. From what I hear, Russia wants to work with us. They've been wanting to become NATO, but NATO doesn't want that. They want endless wars and sending your sons and daughters to die for what? See, we've done that. We've done this same thing. The 20-year war on terrorism. The devastation that created for veterans who raised their hands and fought for their country is a mass. When you have a veteran killing themselves every 17 seconds, see, breaks my heart. But see, that's the horror of war. That's what happens when man leaves God out of the picture. But then we have a president that is pro-choice, is supportive of religion. Well, I don't practice religion. I practice personal relationship with Christ. But and truly, I believe was transformed once he got back into office, and then when somebody tried to kill him, tried to kill the president of the United States, and almost did it. If it wasn't for God's mighty hand saying that bullet's not going to pierce, it's going to pierce your ear, pierce your ear. Look at piercings in the Bible and stuff like that. When Jesus gave up his being of being, the Son of Man, and truly God, sinless Lamb, they pierced his side, and what came out of it? Water and wine. Look it up. Look it up. Crucifixion, not a fun thing. I don't want to have anybody crucified. After election, proposes 50 plus new taxes, policy shifts, no ICE cooperation. See, and I hear the same demonic chants. He, ho, ho. What are you? You the seven dwarfs? The seven dwarfs were more creative than you were. He, hi, ho. What is this? You're a 2-year-old with a binky in your mouth saying he, hi, ho. ICE has gotta go. Really? Really? These are men and women just trying to do their jobs. Yes. Am I saying that they're the way the videos are portrayed by the media and by these supposed camera takers? Come on, these are all plants. Come on, you're not witnesses. You are trying to discredit and try to destroy an organization that's there to take out constitutionally and by order of the Justice Department and the Department of War. People who are here illegally, the worst of the worst. Yes, they have had a bad rap because of things are happening. But the people that have been exposed, the demons that have been exposed, shouldn't have lost their lives because they were controlled by the devil, by the demoncrats and the rhinocrats. I call them demons. Why? Because they are not for you, Virginia, not for you, America. Why? Because the fact that they think they're better than us. They want to create their own ecosystem where they control everything and you just live like a little servant, serf, like a serfdom, like they did in feudalism days. See, you got to know your history. See, I love reading books. I loved history, even outside of college, but also when I was going to high school. See, high school just got me enough. And then what the military did was it taught me a different culture, a way to think, a way to be have a deductive reasoning saying, I think if this happens, I shouldn't do this because this could happen. Gee, that's called common sense. And as a patriot, I have to prepare myself and my family the best I can for the times to come because Jesus is coming back soon. Like my good friend has his ministry called Coming Soon Jesus.org. You can look it up. He's been fighting this battle for 25 plus years. And see, if our churches did better too at educating the flock, we would have a better society too, wouldn't we? Why aren't the churches out there praying over these individuals, trying to calm these individuals down? But Minnesota, you're sticking your head in the dust saying, oh, it's too cold for our churches to go out there. We would look bad if our church rep. No, wouldn't. That's what God wants you to do. He wants you to be part of the ecosystem. If you're taken out of the ecosystem, the test phase was COVID, right? The test phase was COVID when they said mask on, mask off. Really herd immunity, people, herd immunity. For a while, I chose not to get the shot. I got it eventually, but I've also detoxed myself from that crap too. Why? Because it's proven now we were lied to. It was a test to see how many sheep could follow the blindly. Oh, mask on, mask off. Take a sip. Take a sip. Really? Really? I know a lot of people that passed away, including family members, passed away. They had underlying conditions. I can't tell you enough. If we had herd immunity, like Dr. Mercola and all these doctors are now who've been saying the same thing, the experts, but unfortunately, the president had to do the best thing he could, which was to shut down. He thought he could shut it down for a few weeks, but then was shut down for 2 years. And they wonder why there's chaos. This was a planned global event to see how many people would listen to the nonsense, and the damage has been done to your children's bodies with the mRDNA and all this stuff that's being exposed. See, but if we were already a sick society in the first place, that's why people died. The ventilators didn't help. They actually killed people. I mean, the medical community was getting paid $5,000 per COVID death. And I have a relative that was is a president of a hospital that told me that. I asked him about this during his mom's funeral and stuff like that. We were just chatting after and stuff like that's true. But wow. So I was hearing it from family members that are in the medical community, and they did the best job they could because that was a stressful situation as it is. But when people were turning against people, put your mask on. You're gonna get me sick. Really? That's what they wanted. That's what the demons wanted us to do, right? And that was the part of their control. And now you're seeing the chaos happening now. Your children are rebelling. 18 to 29-year-olds are so unhappy with politics, they rather have an AI god. Hmm. I don't want to have an AI god because AI gods can be manipulated, controlled. No, thank you. I'd rather have a flawed man or woman leading the free world than have a artificial intelligence leading the world. Just saying. So we no longer live in an era of moderate Democrats. I call it the Communist Manifesto. See, the policy shifts, as we said, the no cooperation, criminal illegals, free education for undocumented immigrants. What is that? When Virginians are already struggling and you have to give money, our tax-paying money, to these people who are undocumented, it's not my fault they came here for a better opportunity, but they should come here legally. Strict gun controls. You're taking our guns. No, we have a constitutional right. We have a constitutional right in all the 50 states, if we wanted to form a militia and to help our police departments and patrol our neighborhoods. You could do that. You just have to work with your specific municipality. And us veterans can train you on how to use those weapons in a peaceful way and protect your neighbors and their assets. Let's hope it doesn't get to that point, people. But you got to understand the mindset of people are they're living for today. They're not thinking about the future. They're not thinking about their kids' future. They're just thinking about themselves. See, Christ didn't think about himself, he thought about his creation. God gave his only begotten son for each and every one of us. So he could be the medium to get us to the Father. He gave his life. He lived within us for 30 plus years. And look how, if that was one of the biggest lies in the world, then how did millions upon millions of people become believers in Christ? Because science is a friend of the faith. Why? Because they're discovering things left and right. He was a real person. You can't tell me we were created by nothing. Really? That's like telling me that um, when I go drive my car, I don't need gas in my engine to allow the ignition to start. You know, when you turn your ignition over, it fires up, then it goes, goes to the chambers and all that good stuff. See, I'm a computer guy. I'm not a car guy. I let the experts do the cars. So, whether you agree with are not with a label. The pattern is what controls. Campaign as moderate, govern as far left on taxes and control. For voters, the implication is this: if you keep voting based on fear, vibes, and party brand alone, don't be surprised when policies you get are much more extreme than a campaign ad. Here's a reflective question: what would it look like if we read actual bills and tax proposals? Think about the example we had with the healthcare. You got to read the bill uh, after we pass it. That was the Affordable Care Act. It helped a lot of people, but it's unaffordable right now. I can tell you how many people have abused that too. That's being exposed too. See, we have the midterms, Republicans. You have the midterms in Virginia and also in Washington D.C. You better think about the consequences and don't think of the rhetoric of Trump. It's decades after decades of failing policies, right? The economy can get better if we can innovate. Tariffs are there to negotiate. Yes, everybody says, "Oh, we're paying more because it costs more because we don't produce anything." If we can get the manufacturing engine going, if we can use the power of artificial intelligence, they're already using these big data centers to replace you. I mean, they're doing the same thing in the Department of War. They're doing massive cutbacks with contractors and stuff. And 36 bodies were gone as of Thursday, including myself, after almost 10 years in that company. And I loved what we did, but they were concentrating on missions. But we're not the only ones. When we were turning our laptops over at the base upstairs in the hefty hall, we found out that those contractors got 4 months notice that they'll be going away too. So they're going to be joining the unemployment lines too. But in the cybersecurity realm, there's lots of jobs. It's just what you want to do with your life. And I have come to the point in my life where I wanted to move on to something that'll help our community, called financial education, being an agent of good, showing people how I've been blessed by following godly principles, how I have been using the power of compound interest, the power of index accounts, the power of living benefits, where if you get sick, you can use up to 90% of that benefit to pay for your hospital bills, to live off that money up to $10,000 a month. And you're already paying into it, just taking money that you already got, and it'll show you how to do it. That's happened in Hampton Roads. So read the actual bills, tax proposals, look at past votes for candidates, and made decisions based on policy and principle, not just personality and panic. How many elections would have gone driftly if people had paused and asked, what are the real financial consequences for my state and for my family and my business? They don't think like that. Here's the role of my mission. My role now, after 30 years in uniform and secure, is helping people understand how policy shows up in their wallet, prepare their funds so they're not at the mercy of every new tax. Here's my close. Before the next election, pick one candidate and look up their voting record. Look at what they've backed on taxes and spending. Compare that to your current promises. That one step alone can save you years of surprise and the blue pill regret. Okay? Okay. I don't care. To be honest with you, I have a right to speak my voice. You can either listen to me, unsubscribe. I don't care. At the end of the day, this is something that needs to be spoken to Virginians. Virginia needs to listen. Virginia is going to become not for lovers. It's going to become Virginia, we leaving you because you have betrayed us. But understand this well. God is a righteous judge, but he's also he's a fair judge. And you're getting what you want for the next 4 years. But see, you are already regretting what you put into office already. You see it on local news too. They're like, this doesn't make sense. She said she was going to do this. Well, I guess that's called kabuki theater. We're like, oh, nothing to see, nothing here, nothing to do. Oh, you bow down to me. I don't think so. The only person I bow down to is Jesus Christ at the end of the day. And guess what? I speak the truth. I know a lot of things, but if you knew what I knew at the timing, I'm glad that I invested in silver. Silver's up 200%, people. What's the dollar? Just look at it. Just look at it. Now, taxes, emotions, moderate politics. This wasn't a political message. This was the truthful message. If you can't handle the truth, get out of the kitchen, honey. Men, you need to stand up. You need to be there as the true embodiment of men and not of wimps. You need to understand that you are ordained by God to take care of your family, to take care of your neighbors, and to understand that we are living in the last of days. Whether you like it or not, look it up, get in your Bible, find a Bible believing church. At the end of the day, if you don't like the message, you can always unsubscribe. I don't care. At the end of the day, I'm just speaking the truth about how Virginia and all these states are now going to be exposed because the truth is coming out, because God's wrath is upon each and every one of you. You have to the midterms to determine, do I want to follow the righteous path or the path where there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth and you continue to have unaffordability and continue to complain because you didn't pick the right candidate that fits your narrative. That's right. The news is there to create chaos, not to provide you news. The local news does a pretty good job, but they can have their biases too. But at the end of the day, it's time to turn away from the evilness. Take care. God bless. Stay safe, as it's almost time for me to start shoveling some snow here in Virginia Beach. I'm going to have a great day today. Maybe we'll have church, maybe we won't. But if not, I will still have church on my own because I can listen to last week's sermon. But I'm hoping that we do have church because we need to have Jesus back in America more than ever. Take care. God bless. See you at the top. Want to know more about me? Look me up. I'm a straight shooter. Take care.